I think I just truly believe that everything happens for a reason. You know, I didn't get into dance because I wasn't like most little girls where you're like, I want to be a ballerina. Mom put me in ballet.
First question I usually ask people in these interviews is, what is your story? In other words, how did you get into what it is you do?
Well, I think at an early age, I was first introduced to dance through the Bass Club and through the Kern County Bass Club community. We all began dancing at the age of 5 in kindergarten, and it was part of our heritage, part of growing up and learning about our culture. That was the first time I started dancing. Was then actually, ironically enough, my mother took me to a doctor because I was very quiet and wouldn't talk to anyone, and they suggested putting me into a sport or some sort of activity. And a family friend happened to own a local dance studio, so she put me into dance, and I started doing ballet at age 6.
Those of you who don't know, Annie is my sister, who we are interviewing today for the Artists of Bakersfield, my new YouTube series. So, another question, I guess what I like to ask is, first tell us what it is you do today, I guess.
So, through years of dance, at the age of 12, I actually left the dance studio that I was at because the ballet teacher happened to be moving out of town. And that was my main focus, was ballet, not so much the jazz or tap or anything else, but my main focus was ballet, and she encouraged me to go start dancing at another studio, which was Civic Dance Center here in Bakersfield. And so I, at age 12, went over and made the move to Civic Dance Center, where I began training even more intensely at that point. And from the age of 12, I haven't much left Civic Dance Center. I went away for a couple of years to the Bay Area and danced with Contra Costa Ballet and San Francisco Ballet Company, but came back and wanted to come back to Kern County and started dancing again at Civic Dance Center, and was quickly offered a job by Cindy Trueblood to teach, which was like a dream come true. That was super exciting to be able to teach the younger ones and kind of grow with them too as I was getting older and maturing as well. So I am now not only teaching but directing the Nutcracker Ballet every year alongside Cindy Trueblood and Erica Uberoth and Alicia Angelini. And then along with Erica Uberoth, I also direct, choreograph our spring gala every June for our dance studio, and have in the recent years have been named artistic coordinator of Civic Dance Center. So I'm actually taking on more of a role of helping run the studio and a little bit more behind the scenes stuff, not just teaching. So that's kind of fun too.
Wow. That's a story to tell too. Now you mentioned you left briefly, you went to San Francisco for a couple of years. Tell us more about that. Wow, what was that like?
Well, that was really an opportunity of a lifetime. You get to meet, of course, all new people, not only that you're dancing with, but instructors and professional dancers that I got to not only watch, but learn from. I worked with famous people such as Michael Smuin and Suki Shore that were coming in to guest teach some of my classes there, and it was just an amazing experience that, you sometimes don't get that opportunity at a local level, but then it really makes you appreciate what you do have growing up, because obviously that training that I received here took me to there so that I could be introduced to these amazing people and learn even more. So, it was a great opportunity, and I learned and I grew a lot. I matured a lot in my dancing, and came back just ready to share it with my local studio.
What was your biggest takeaway from that adventure?
I think, every little girl dreams of, being a ballerina and wearing the tutu and being on stage. And I think that kind of solidified a career. It solidified, saying, okay, I did something. I didn't just, take classes and hope for the best one day. I went somewhere and I met famous people, and I learned, and I think for me, my career was kind of cut short because of injuries. But coming back and being able to teach and bring back what I learned and bring it back to the community and pass it on to my students now, I think obviously not only is that big for me, but it's big for our town of Bakersfield to be able to share that with the dancers, because we have some talent in Bakersfield, and to be able to share what I learned from famous people and pass that on to the next generation. I think that's the biggest outtake of all that. I think now, it changes from being a dancer yourself to teaching dance. I think what drives me now is my students, and seeing their passion and remembering what that was like to want to learn and to want to just take in anything you can and apply that to your progress. And I think that watching them grow, watching them learn, watching them improve, I think that's what keeps you going. But also too, being on stage, and not only anymore, I'm not on the stage myself anymore, but I get to watch my visions come to life on the stage now, and watch the work that I've put in the classroom with my students, watch them be able to showcase what I've taught them. So that keeps us going every year. That keeps us, encouraged to want to press these students forward, to challenge them and give them something more to work towards.
Wow, no, that's really good. Again, very noble, a very, I guess, grand cause. I don't know.
Well, it's a passion.
Yeah.
It's truly, it's if you love what you're doing, you're gonna be good at it.
I've always been into movies and stuff, as you know, film, and I hear from directors, and their thing is bringing their vision to life. Do you feel that that's what you are in terms of ballet, as opposed to film? This great art director or program director?
Absolutely. I think that we're all telling a story, whether it's through film. There is an element to live theater you have that adrenaline rush. It's, yes, we rehearse before it's put on stage, but live theater, you don't know. We have the pleasure here in Bakersfield of having, when we perform Nutcracker, we dance to a live symphony, and that adds a whole nother challenge to our performance, which I say challenge, but it's so unique. It's timing changes, and you're forced to make every performance unique. And the live audience encourages you and pushes you, and their applause and their surprise maybe in a certain part, or their excitement as something happens on stage, something comes to life, and that's what pushes you and puts you more in that character more than maybe you would behind a camera. That having that audience feed you. I don't know. I've never done film, so it's hard for me to compare, but I can say that live theater really does push your limits a little bit, because it challenges you, and you have, like I said before, that adrenaline that it changes your dance. It forces you to be on that edge a little bit, push yourself a little bit more than you do in rehearsals.
Well, that's really neat. What a lot of people forget, that when film started, it was silent film, and the orchestra had to do what you're describing. An orchestra had to play their music to the film, so as people were watching it, the orchestra had to play, and they had to get the timing just right.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of the same with you, only more complicated, or?
Yeah, I think it's a great collaboration, the symphony with the ballet. I think that one without the other is beautiful. It's a beautiful art form either way, but put together, we get to tell even more of a story. The music highlights the actions, and the action kind of tells a story of what the music is saying. It puts those things to words, even though we're not using words. There's no narration other than our steps that are choreographed and the notes of the music. We all put together, we tell an amazing story. So it's amazing when you can collaborate art forms together.
Yeah, it is. It is. I've seen that done in film through behind the scenes and different things. But you have to do it in real time, I guess. Is it?
Yeah.
And that's obviously more of a challenge right there.
Absolutely. But it comes with a great outcome. I mean, the show must go on. So, we push through, and it's so powerful for an audience to be able to have that live music and live motion going on stage, and know that just a minute ago one dancer that ran off and changed has now come on and is performing a whole nother story. So it's very exciting, I think, not only for the audience, but for the dancers, for the musicians, for the directors. It's a whole group of people coming together to tell a story, and it's just very exciting. Even now, standing in the wings and watching it on the sidelines, it's still just as exciting as being on stage.
I guess, what is your greatest challenge out of all that?
I think continuing to offer something new to my students, to the audiences that come to watch us, to keep myself fresh, and not just, even though we do Nutcracker every year, we change it up. We change up the steps, we change up the choreography, we change the level of talent. I mean, the dancers are challenged to new choreography every year, and even though they may have performed Waltz of the Flowers for 4 years, I feel like it's new every year, because you may be a different color one year, which means you do different steps or different timing, or the people next to you might be different, which changes the dance. It makes it new and fresh, and I think that's a challenge for us directors and choreographers every year, is to keep it new and something that you look forward to year after year.
Wow. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Do you think that's the hope of every director, dancer, or dance coordinator? Everybody? Yeah,
I think an audience isn't going to want to come year after year if it's the same thing, or I think we have people that come to see the Nutcracker every year that maybe they don't even know anybody that's dancing in the show, or know any of the musicians that are playing for us. They come because it's tradition, and it's something they look forward to put them in the Christmas spirit, or just that, having that tradition every year. And I think that by us changing it up a little bit here and there, just it gives them something like what's going to be new this year. It gives them something to look for in the production, and see if they can tell the differences and see what's new and fresh.
So with everything you've done, and you've mentioned the Civic Dance Center, you went to San Francisco and brought that knowledge back here to Civic Dance Center. With all of that, who were your favorite people to work with, and why?
Well, I think that, like I said, I had some great teachers along the way, and even my very first teacher, Ann Conrad, who was a family friend, she started that love for dance. I didn't know I loved ballet until I started doing it. So she taught me the love, and then knew that I could go further with it, and so knew that she needed to push me on to bigger and better things. And then I met Cindy Trueblood, my second ballet teacher, who has still to this day teaches me things as I'm growing and directing and doing the behind the scene things at the studio. She's taught me how to love each and every one of the students. And I think that those two people in my life were probably the most instrumental in my passion and my love for dance, and of course probably have taught me the most along the way. And like I said, Cindy still continues to teach me things on a daily basis sometimes. So I think that people like that are who give you that love of something that you do. I think that's so important, and I would have to say that those are the people that will be my main people in what has been my passion and my career, really.
I've had people like that in what I do, and it's the people that give you your passion and drive you at times.
Yeah, and you hope that they love it as much as you do. I mean, obviously they do, because to be able to pass that on to somebody else, it comes from the heart. It really does. You can't teach how to fake that.
Yeah.
It's real.
Annie, this has been really neat. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, of course.
We've been talking about your passions, your performances, and I asked you, who was your favorite people to work with? You talked about all your mentors. So tell us now about the performances themselves.
Well, Nutcracker is very unique in that it's such a large production. Definitely the biggest production that I've worked in. And we start in August, have Nutcracker auditions, hold auditions, looking at all of our dancers coming in and trying to determine roles for all these dancers in the Nutcracker. And we start rehearsals right away after that first weekend of auditions. We get the parts out throughout the week to all the dancers, and we start rehearsals that very next weekend. And we rehearse every weekend pretty much, with the exception of Thanksgiving week. We go in there and we rehearse every single weekend, and so it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hours that we put in, and then that final week, right before the performance, we actually work every night at the theater, doing dress rehearsals, tech rehearsals, working on lighting and staging and blocking for the dancers. So it's a lot of time put in, but it's a production that it takes a huge amount of people to, I mean, we have our tech crew, we have the dancers, of course, we have us directors, but so many of the parents volunteer to work on costumes, to help us with costume fittings, to make last minute adjustments, or if we have to put in an understudy because someone has been injured, there's time in that. We have a wonderful physical therapist that is a father of some of our dancers, that he volunteers his time to be there and to work on dancers that are hurting or need some special attention to their feet or knees or ankles or whatever. But it's everybody putting in time, and you know, we have people like you. We have Bob that comes in and videotapes for us, and so that we have record of this beautiful production that we have.
Now you mentioned volunteers. Are there a lot of volunteers that go into this?
A lot. Matter of fact, the show wouldn't go on if we didn't have volunteers. Most of them are current parents, mothers, or fathers, and we take the fathers help us on move-in day when we move our big scene props. They help us load up a U-Haul trailer and we take it to the theater. They help us move in and assemble the throne together, or help us get backdrops up and going. But it would not go on if it weren't for our volunteers. We have a lot of moms who actually, their dancers have gone on to graduate college and have families of their own now that still stick around because it's tradition. You know, you come and you help us with the costumes, or you're that backstage person that's helping with quick changes, or just a safety pin in a pinch or a bobby pin because hair's falling out. But you know, we love our moms that stick around and help us out through the years, and honestly, there's no way we could do it just us. So the volunteers make the show as well.
Well, that's something people take for granted and forget about.
Absolutely.
You're right, it really does. And what about Macy here? Does she volunteer?
Macy's the princess of the house. She's been to the studio a few times.
Annie, you've talked about performances, you've been talking about the Nutcracker. What is your favorite dance to perform?
Oh man, I have a lot of favorites. I mean, through the years, of course, I've been able to do some great things. I think right now I would have to say, just because for the last several years, I've been directing the snow scene in Nutcracker, which I love the scene. There's some highs and lows in the music, and just you have a little bit of everything in there. You're on and off stage and constantly moving, and I've loved directing it. I've loved working with the girls, having that core of dancers that I get to work with for such a long period of time and preparing for that scene. The scene is over 8 minutes long, so it's so fun, and I've been able to put in my own little flair to the performance. I've kept in a lot of the traditional steps that I even performed back when I did the snow scene for many years, and I've kept in some of the old traditional choreography with a little bit of my nuances in there. So it's been fun kind of playing with that scene, and of course working with each generation coming through in that dance, and it's been fun. I get to work with a large number of dancers, and it challenges me. So I'd have to say right now that's my scene that I like, but of course, oh man, through the years, I think I was given the opportunity. I never danced the role of the Sugar Plum Fairy in our local production of the Nutcracker, but was able to perform with another choreographer. Actually allowed me to perform it in one of her performances, and I was able to dance the pas de deux with David Crooks, which he did our local production here for many years. He played our Cavalier in the Nutcracker, and I looked up to that man for so many years, you know, watching him dance with all these amazing dancers as I was growing up. And so when I was given the opportunity to actually perform with him, that was definitely a highlight. So that was a fun year, and definitely a big year for me in growth in dancing. So right before I left for San Francisco, and just I think that gave me some confidence to go forward as I went to this professional level, and so that was definitely a highlight and one of my favorites.
Wow, that's great. I actually remember David, because when we were kids, he was a really neat guy.
He was amazing. He mentored me as well. He gave me so much helpful advice in my dancing, and being that it was one of my first times actually partnering with a male dancer, he gave me a lot of insight. You had to approach things very differently when partnering, and he taught me a lot too.
Well, Annie, that's really neat. You talked about David and people you've been working with, and how passionate they were and how passionate they made you. What do you mentioned the Civic Dance Center, of course. What are you doing there now? Tell us more about the Civic Dance Center itself.
Well, Civic Dance Center was established by Cindy Trueblood. She started out teaching in her garage many, many years ago, and has worked up to this studio of a large number of dancers. We offer ballet, tap, jazz, hip hop. We have a wide array of teachers that have so much to offer. Some that have, we have teachers that actually dance with Cindy at a younger age. And me, I've actually been there since, like I said, I mentioned before, since I was 12 years old. So I grew up there as well. I know what it was like to be there as a student, and now a teacher and a director, and we offer a spring gala every June. We offer the Nutcracker. Unfortunately, you know, not this year because of COVID, but we do. It's normally an annual production that we put on, so we're constantly busy there. Producing new choreography and stuff for our dancers, challenging the dancers. We have a great anywhere from 6 to 7 week summer program that we put on for the kids, where we have great little workshops, princess dance camps for kids, and also Nutcracker boot camps that we put on to prepare them for next year's Nutcracker, which is always just right around the corner too. So there's a lot that we offer there at the studio. And in the summer we try to offer some specialty classes, such as partnering and musical theater classes, introduction to makeup tutorials for the little ones that are learning how to do stage makeup for the first time, or how to do their own bun. Things like that we're trying to teach the dancers in all different ways, not just the technique of the steps, but how to be a well-rounded dancer, and how to work as a team, how to go. And we also have a competition team that we take dances to competitions. I have worked for the last probably 7 or 8 years, maybe even more, now that I think about it, but I've taken either 1 or 2 students to Youth America Grand Prix, which is a scholarship program for dancers in the ballet field. So that's always a good place to grow and learn too. But we kind of offer a little bit of everything. We have the normal dance recitals, to dance competition, to the hair tutorials and makeup tutorials. We just try to be well-rounded and offer a little bit of everything for anyone who might be interested.
Hey, Annie, you touched on COVID-19 and that's affecting you guys. Can you go into that a little more?
Yeah, it's been difficult because, originally when everybody went into quarantine, we had to shut down our live in-person classes, of course, and we quickly went to Zoom, which was new for everyone and a challenge in itself, and making space in our living rooms to dance and not having the normal surface to dance on, the correct floors, or not having the mirrors to utilize to see if our bodies are in alignment and to see if we're doing things correctly. It changed the way we took class. It changed the way we taught class. And then of course, it's sad for the dancers, especially our outgoing seniors who didn't get their senior gala, or this year are not going to have their senior nutcracker. That's kind of a highlight in our studio. We try to highlight our seniors every year. So that's something as you're growing up, you work towards. You work so hard to anticipate those final years that you're going to spend at your local dance studio and before you go off to college. And that was kind of taken from a lot of the dancers, and it's hard. It's hard for them, and we still want it to be special for them. We still, are trying to have these productions, but we don't know what the future is going to look like yet. We did have to cancel Nutcracker this year, but we're hopeful that things are going to continue to get better, and we'll be back on track for Gala 2021. Let's hope for that.
Now, Annie, in what you do, is there a motto that you have that you go by?
I wouldn't say so much a motto, other than I think I just truly believe that everything happens for a reason. I didn't get into dance because I wasn't like most little girls where you're like, I want to be a ballerina. Mom put me in ballet. I didn't start that way. So it's a little bit different from most who start thinking one day I'm going to be a ballerina, and that wasn't my case. I was put in by advice from a doctor. Put her in something, an activity. It just so happens it was ballet. And then when I did fall in love with ballet, I thought, maybe I will be a dancer. Maybe I'll make it big and be a professional ballerina. And then I was injured early on, which it kind of puts a damper on things. It's hard to get hired when you're injured. So that forced me to come home. But I really think I'm much happier teaching than I ever would have been being a professional dancer and performing. I don't want to downplay the excitement of performing and being on stage. That was definitely a huge point in my life, but I think that there's been so many more rewarding moments from my students, or putting on that first gala, or being in charge of these dancers that are learning from you and growing from you, and you're kind of in charge of the progress of these students, and that is so big and so important to me. So I think that my process of being a dancer, I think everything my life's placement has kind of laid out my career for me. I don't think I could have looked early on as a child and said that I would be a ballet teacher one day. I don't think I could have predicted that even at age 5. At age 5, I didn't know I was going to be a dancer. So I think that everything just happens for a reason, and I was lucky enough to have this path of the art of ballet.
Wow. Thank you, and I think that makes a great ending to our interview.
Okay.
Thank you so much for doing all this.
Yeah.
That's great.
No
Thanks.
problem.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.